As parents, there are so many conversations that are really difficult to have, and you want to avoid them. That's how you feel. But this morning, I have child psychologist Dr. Jillian Roberts with me to help us through a few of those conversations. The first one we're going to talk about this morning is about the birds and the bees, and one of your books, which is called "Where Do Babies Come From?"
Yes. Yes, well, I think it's important that parents start to have those conversations much earlier than they did in years past.
So tell me, if your child comes up and says to you, when is appropriate time, really? If your child comes and says, "Mommy, where do babies come from?"
If a child is coming up to you, you have a conversation in that moment. You begin the conversation in that moment. So following the child's lead is always very important in creating that parent-child bond that will allow that conversation to continue over time.
Do you tell them the truth, or do you do it scientific?
Yeah,
or what do you do?
You absolutely tell them the truth, but it's important that what they might be asking might not be the whole story about where babies come from. It's important to tell them just enough information to satisfy their curiosity in that moment. So where do babies come from? Well, babies come from their mother's bodies. Mm-hmm. That might just be it.
Another book in your series also kind of goes with death and when a loved one has passed.
Yes.
How do you have that conversation with a child?
Well, you would have that conversation when there's something that's happened in your family or your community that makes the child need to know and to understand. So if you've had a pet die or if there's been some tragedy in your community, that would be the perfect time to read that book.
And how do you do it? Is the book going to help you guide them through this time in a kind of a nurturing way still?
In an absolutely nurturing and gentle way, and it's been written to be culturally appropriate, so no matter what background or religion, it would be sensitive and it would help to answer the questions that most children, young children, would have about death.
Beyond just their loved ones, there's a lot of things happening in the world today that kids are watching on TV. How do we protect them from that, or do we have a conversation about that?
Well, my whole philosophy is that we need to help children talk to their parents about all these difficult topics and to start these conversations as early as we possibly can. If a child is talking to their parent as a young child, then that kind of inoculates them and protects them from what they might see online.
Okay, your latest book right here, What Makes Us Unique, and this one comes out of the news really for you too.
Yes.
A lot of the stories in the news, Black Lives Matter and whatnot, made you write this last book in your series.
Yes, I'm passionate about this topic. I think it's so important that we teach children to embrace diversity and not to be afraid of diversity. And as Canadians with our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, it's so Canadian to be inclusive in our values. This book helps you raise a young child to be inclusive in how they interact with people of difference.
What are conversations you shouldn't have with your kids?
I think you don't want to bombard them with lots of details or too much information too soon. You don't want to have a conversation that's going to be really embarrassing with a really young child. The goal is to make sure that your relationship with your child is so strong that no matter what they stumble onto online or what they hear in the news, they'll come to you for answers. So you don't want to say anything that's going to make those conversations more difficult than they need to be.
What we do at our house is at dinner we say, what was the best part of your day? Mm-hmm. And then we also ask them what was the worst part of their day.
I love that.
And it's really a simple way to kind of get them to maneuver. There's so many conversations that they're going to have. If people want to reach out to you, how do they reach out to you?
Well, they can reach out through Orca Book Publishers, which is my publisher, the publisher who has published the series. There's a website for the series, which is justenough.ca. They can also reach out to me directly. I have a blog called AskDrJillianRoberts.com and a website which is drjillianroberts.com, and I'd be happy to answer any questions parents might have.
Well, thank you for coming in today, and thank you for contributing by putting these books together as well. You're going to help many parents through the way of parenting. We're going to take a break right now for breakfast television. There's still all that information on our website. Still lots more to come after the break. I'm going to tell you about a wonderful looking summer day ahead for tomorrow.